I know I don't want to get too technical, but one of the things I really liked about some of the videos you were explaining, there are certain winter crops that you could plant that you end up keeping in a greenhouse over the winter that you can harvest.
Yes.
It got spinach and a few things. So could I consider anything like that? Does that happen after
Absolutely.
the stuff's been pulled out, or do I plant
Well,
it?
that's the thing, and that's the problem with small greenhouse. Like if you only have so much greenhouse space, you can do it. It's hard. It just means that you need it, like you could seed, you could have that greenhouse full of did you buy any kale seeds?
I do have some.
Okay, so
Might not be
you could do, I mean, if you got kale, you could start that now as well, and then
on.
that would transplant uh in the ground in like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
then you could also start a fall crop again, uh June 1st, transplant July 1st, and then that'll be overwintered. So that's going to be difficult in your greenhouse because your greenhouses are full of tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers.
Yeah.
So you can try interplanting, but it's a thing that's like,
It's a little tricky.
experience really makes that easier. Like without experience,
Sure.
I mean, you could go and watch some videos I've done on it. Like I've showed how I interplant and cross over a summer crop, and then I get a winter crop established on the foliage. I trim all the bottoms of the tomato plant so that light comes in, and it is kind of, in a small greenhouse, it's a pain in the ass. It's
Yeah.
just, it's difficult to do. But spinach is easy enough, because as long as you pull out your tomatoes by the end of September, you could clean up those beds, refertilize them, recompost them. You could plant that spinach in mid to late September, and then establish that going into winter, and then have something in there all winter. You could do that.
Yeah, I just want to see if I can get a little bit of that experience, not going crazy on it,
Yeah.
but if I can maximize, if I have to take a couple of tomato plants on just to figure out how this works, because I think that's a pretty meaningful skill set within that realm to have that into the winter a little bit. At least that's how I perceived it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so, what I did here is I gave you starting dates for this stuff, but like carrots, for example, I would recommend doing 3 plantings of carrots. So do a May 1st planting, and the amounts you do is entirely up to you, how many beds you want to do. What I'd recommend actually is doing things in small beds, so small units.
Yeah.
Because that way you can get lots of experience. You can kind of fuck around with like different different styles. So like, let's just pull up Google Earth here for a second again. And then I would say, like, let's say that's approximately your field. And you could, what's our dimensions here, just to give me an idea of. So that's 66. Yeah. So you could do a bunch of like you could run beds whatever way makes the most sense geographically. Like, I'm not seeing the exact contours here, but I think we start to slope down this way. And so maybe it would make sense to run beds just north and south like this.
Oh, okay.
Let me look at this map again.
For me, it's all an experiment anyways. It's not, we'll try it and see how that works. And then when it
yeah, I mean, basically what I'm trying to say is this. Can you see my my board here?
Yep.
So, you've got this whatever shape thing. And so just to kind of mirror what we have here, here's that greenhouse. Mm-hmm. And then you've got this kind of plot it doesn't have to be this pattern, but it's kind of dictated by your slope and the areas that you're limited in.
Yep.
So what I'd do is I would just run beds like this.
Right.
and then basically split them up. So whenever you succession things, do chunks. So like looking, I'm just going to pull up that map of that list. Yeah. So take a bunch of things. So like we said, we're going to do some carrots on May 1st. You could, you know what, you have lettuce. Do you have some lettuce seed in there too?
Yeah.
I saw some choy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Like, so, you know, you'd say, okay, this is a May 15th planting here, or no, let's call this one a May 1st. Is that what we said for? Yeah. So like, okay, so that many carrots.
Yep.
That much lettuce. Do, you know, do some spinach, do some radishes, do some beets. Okay, one bed, boom, plant it out. That's basically what I look at on a larger scale as a block. But you can mimic the same thing in a bed, and then just get the same idea. And then, okay, now let's do this bed. Let's do a May 1-5 planting. So let's do another chunk of carrots. Let's do another chunk of beets. Let's do some more lettuce. Let's do some more radish. Let's do some more spinach. Then work your way down. And then you just divide these beds up into, I don't know, whatever it is, 10-foot chunks or something.
Yeah.
Now you're going to do a June 1 thing. Let's do some more, whatever. You start to do some more succession planting, and then you'll see stages.
Okay. That's
you know?
cool. Yeah,
and then, you know, I would say for something like potatoes, actually, maybe let's just keep this. This is another May 15th. Do like a whole bed of potatoes.
Right.
You know, around that same time, you could do a whole bed of corn. Let's just do lots of corn. There's a whole bed of corn there.
Cool.
And the important thing is like the basic methodology I'm trying to explain here is the idea of just doing lots of small chunks of things in different successions, and that will give you a broad perspective of how different crops exist in time and space.
Yep.
Opposed to, you know, the typical gardener just goes and plants everything out in May 15th and then that's their garden for the season.
Right.
But then you get a very limited scope on how things change throughout the season. And so it's important to do multiple plantings. Like I'd say, you know, with carrots, let me just share this again. With carrots, do a May 1 planting, do a June 15th planting, and then do an August 1st planting.
Okay.
3 successions of carrots. The August 1st, that'll be your overwintered crop, but you could actually have it out of the ground, probably in your Southern Ontario weather. You could plant carrots August 1st and then harvest them at the end of September, or you could put those in a greenhouse and keep them in the ground all winter.
Okay.
You could do either or. That's what I do. Like I've got my little greenhouse that's in front of my passive solar greenhouse here, and I've still got about 20 feet of carrots that I planted August 1st that I'm still eating right now.
That's so cool. I love it.
Yeah, and you could do the same, you know, as far as beets are concerned, you really could do the same succession plan for that if you wanted to. Chard sometimes overwinters in cold climates. What's your coldest temperature in Celsius there in the winter? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, I mean,
minus 20.
Without the wind chill, minus 20 is up there on some of the coldest days.
But what do you think it is on average? Minus 10 maybe?
Yeah, like minus 10.
Yeah,
minus 10 probably.
You know, you could keep some if you wanted to just have a sort of mix of things in that greenhouse in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
You could do that. Like, so I'm just going to do this. Swiss chard. I like to group these because they're totally different plant families, but kale and Swiss chard kind of can do the same thing as far as their dates to maturity and how they do over winter. Like you could do Swiss chard, you've got some in the spring, similar to this kale situation, but then you could also do this exact same thing with your chard.
Okay.
So you could do the same thing, you know, just to see how it goes. Do like, you know, 10 plants of each in that greenhouse going in the fall as well, and see how they survive over the winter.
Yeah.
So you could try that with beets too. Beets are the same plant family as Swiss chard. So whatever you can do with Swiss chard, you can also do with beets. In a really layman's simple way of explaining it, but that's what you can do. So you could have beets in that greenhouse. So like, yeah, in that greenhouse, if you wanted to mess around and have some stuff there in the winter, I would say beets, carrots, Swiss chard, kale, and spinach. Those would be, spinach would definitely survive. The rest and kale most likely. The chard and the beets, we'll see. I don't. Ontario is a little bit different than here, but you get more sun, so it might actually do better than I have.
Okay.